is, first of all, we would revise what all we studied in the previous 12 sessions, and post that I would discuss certain educational ideas from my end. I hope everyone is with me. What all we studied in the previous 12 sessions, and post that I would discuss certain educational ideas from my end. I hope everyone is with me. Friends, I would request please focus on the session. All of you. I hope everyone is with me. Right, friends? So let us first, in a summarized way, revise what all we have learned in the previous 9 sessions. So just give me a second. Dasari ji, I would request please focus. Everyone. Right. So friends, as part of top-down approach of fundamental analysis, we started with economic analysis. Right. So under economic analysis, we discussed the concept of economic cycle. Then we discussed various phases of economic cycle. Thereafter, by studying certain key performance indicators of the economy, we concluded that currently India is in recessionary phase of economic cycle. I hope everyone is with me till here. Right? Then, as per recessionary phase of economic cycle, which sectors to prefer? Okay, I would do that, Pradeep ji. So, always remember, for sustainable growth of any economy, a fine balance between GDP and inflation has to be maintained, right? So, if very high GDP growth takes place, it will bring in inflation, right? Which in turn will result in vicious cycle, right? Because it will result in lower future demand, people postponing their purchases. So a government and central bank of a country has to always ensure that they target a sustainable level of GDP growth and inflation rate. I hope everyone is with me. Pradeep ji. Right. So, to figure out which are the sweet spots within the economy, we started with industry analysis. So, under industry analysis, we discussed a whole host of factors like generic factors, demand and supply, competitive scenario, cost structure, regulatory environment, and financials. And if at all any sector specific factors are applicable, we need to go through that. And finally, we discussed economic industry framework. As per this framework, in various stages of economic cycle, which sectors should be given preference, we discussed. So, as per economic industry framework, we concluded that in recessionary phase of economic cycle, we need to prefer FMCG, pharma, energy, and utilities. I hope everyone is with me till industry analysis. Dasari ji, Sahil ji, Pradeep ji. Right? Then within these sectors, which are the companies to be given preference? For that, we started with company analysis. So under company analysis, firstly we discuss the qualitative part. Under qualitative part, we need to look at the three M's, which are business model, management, and economic mode. And we also need to study the growth drivers, both internal and external, and finally the concerns and challenges which the individual company might be facing, right? And for qualitative analysis, one of the best resources, management discussion and analysis part of annual report. I hope all of you recall it. Everyone, right? Thereafter, we started with quantitative analysis. Under that, firstly, we discussed the three financial statements: income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. Post that, we started with ratios. So, under growth ratios, we discussed revenue, EBITDA, and net profit growth rates. Under profit margin ratios, we discussed EBITDA or operating profit margin and net profit margin. Then under return ratios, we discussed ROE and ROCE. Thereafter, under leverage ratio, debt to equity, and under per share ratios, we discussed earnings per share, book value per share, and dividend per share. Right? So, friends, for banks, which return ratio we should be looking for? Come on, friends. ROE, perfect, perfect. Pradeep ji, as a return ratio, we should be always looking for ROE in banks, and for asset heavy and debt laden companies, which return ratio? ROCE, perfect, perfect. Right? And finally, yesterday we concluded with valuation ratios, where we discussed price to earnings multiple, PG growth ratio, then price to book, and finally enterprise value to EBITDA. Right, friends? So, for sectors like power, telecom, cement, capital goods, which are asset heavy and mainly debt laden, which valuation ratio to be preferred? Everyone, the question is for everyone. EV to EBITDA, perfect, Sahili, perfect. Very nice, very nice. So I hope everyone recalls the entire discussion around the concepts which we had in the previous 9 sessions, right? So once we have gone through the entire process, right, the stocks which we have filtered, we would apply the technique which would be taught in part 2 to arrive at entry, stop loss and target. I hope the broad process is clear to everyone. All of you. Very nice, very nice. Now, friends, I would be sharing a sheet with all of you, which will provide you key performance indicators for various sectors. I hope all of you can see it, and which valuation parameters we should be deploying to value the companies within those sectors. I hope it is visible, all of you. Kolaji, this is the prominent one, right? If you want, you can always look at other ratios, but please don't miss out on this, right? Certain valuation ratios are given preference as per the business dynamics. Everyone will get the notes, right, Basanji? Don't worry, whosoever have not received it, right, you would receive it from Ankita, right? So please don't worry on that. Everyone, right? So please don't worry if you have not received the access. Ankita will ensure that you all get it. Please try to focus on the concept here. Pradeep ji, PG ratio is not sector specific ratio. Everyone, PG ratio is very company specific. So companies which are growing at a very fast clip, right? Northwards of 30-40% in terms of top line and bottom line growth. Those set of individual companies have to be looked at along with PE-PG ratio. Pradeep ji, I hope it's clear, right? So companies like Avenue Supermarts, TTK Prestige, Bajaj Finance, which are outliers, these set of companies you need to look at PEG, right? So again, friends, the KPIs which I have mentioned here, it is not a exhaustive list. Ashuji, did you attend yesterday's class? Ashuji, did you went through the recording? Right? So Ashuji, please refer the recording. Yesterday I have discussed valuation ratios. So under that I have discussed PEG ratio, where price to earnings in numerator and EPS growth rate in percentage terms in denominator is expressed. Right? So for the set of companies which are trading at very high PE multiples and their revenue and profit growth is very high, in fact exponential. Companies like Avenue Supermarts, Bajaj Finance, TTK Press of the world, those companies have to be looked at PG ratio, right? Then optically on P multiple, they might look costly, but when you will account for future growth, you will get better sense of valuation. Absolutely, Pradeep ji, spot on. Ashu ji, Pradeep ji, I hope it's clear. Right? So, Ashu ji, please refer the recording. If there is any doubt, please let me know. Right? So, friends, the point which I was stressing here, the KPIs which I have mentioned, it is not an exhaustive list. These are critical parameters which we should absolutely review, right? But at times there would be certain more indicators also, right? So this is the broad guideline which we should follow, right? So in auto, first of all, I hope everyone knows on first day of every month, auto sales data is released. Everyone, right? So whenever you are tracking any auto company, every month sales data have to be reviewed judiciously. I hope everyone is able to hear me. Right? Then sales growth, PAT margins, volume growth, right? So absolute amount of vehicles being sold month on month. What is the pace of growth or degrowth that has to be monitored? Government regulations like BS4 to BS6, then scrappage policy. I hope some of you would have heard about scrappage policy, right? So among the industry players, there is always clamor for stringent scrappage policy, right? So after a certain period of time, vehicles should not be allowed to run on the roads. That will bring in replacement demand or not? Right, 15 years. So companies and industry always clamor for the same, right? Because it will bring in fresh demand. I hope everyone is following it, right? And you would see during times in auto sector, be it passenger vehicles, be it two-wheelers, be it commercial vehicles, once sales are distressed, big discounts are offered or not? Everyone, right? So all these things have to be looked at, right? And primarily whenever you are looking at auto companies, look at PE as a valuation metric, right? Everyone, and whenever you are looking at auto ancillaries, in addition to this, new technology will play a very big role. Now friends, I hope many of you would be knowing, in electronic vehicles, the number of parts which would be required as compared to internal combustion engine would be way lower. I hope many of you would be knowing this, right? So at present, the number of parts which are required in internal combustion engine, that is all these petrol and diesel vehicles, in electronic vehicles, much lesser number of parts be required, right? So whole host of auto ancillaries which primarily are related with internal combustion engine, they would face huge challenge once electronic vehicles become mainstream. I hope everyone is getting it. Absolutely, Dasari ji. So these long-term trends have always to be analyzed in the industry. I hope I am making sense, everyone. Ashu ji, Sahil ji, I hope everyone is getting along. Right, right. Then we discussed banks. So in banks, CASA growth rate, current account, savings account. So if CASA growth rate is high, is it good or bad for the banks or as a sector? Right? Because these are cheaper source of funds. Right? We hardly get 4 to 5% interest on our savings account balance. On current account, nothing. So, but if you will look at from the bank's perspective, it's a cheaper source of capital or not? Everyone. So, the higher this ratio, the better it is. Right? I hope everyone is following it. Then non-performing assets, loan turning bad, then regulatory requirements around that. So currently moratorium has been announced for 6 months, right? So even if we would not be paying EMIs, we won't be, or our credit score won't be hurted badly, right? This is a regulatory case given or not? So, a question for all of you. Should we be opting for this moratorium or not? Absolutely fantastic. Very good answer. Friends, believe me, if you are opting for the moratorium, actually your total payments would be higher, right? Because for the period which you are not paying, you have to pay additional interest. So financially you would be hurt more. The only silver lining is that your credit score will not be disturbed. So any of you, if you can afford it, please pay your credit card bills, housing loans. Don't for moratorium. I hope everyone is with me. Right? Then in banks, return on equity, most important margin ratio have to be looked at. Net interest margin, very important parameter, right? Then with respect to general banking environment, we need to look at CRR ratio, SLR ratio, capital adequacy ratio, and loan growth. I hope all of you recall it, how important loan growth is, right? Why? Because it will give us a marker for top line growth, right? And it's a very good parameter to judge how economy as a whole is doing. Absolutely, Manishji, because this quarter the economic activities have trended lower, right? So to assess the economic health, loan growth is very critical, right? As you, as most of us would be knowing, right? Most of the businesses up to certain extent depend on credit, right? So for overall economic growth, loan growth should be maintained at a upward trajectory or not, right? Otherwise, it will result in shrinkage of the economy. I hope everyone is getting it, right? And the valuation metric which we should be deploying is price for banks and NBFCs. So, Sahilji, up to certain extent you are right. Why? Because since earnings of individuals are suffering, so a lot of people would be defaulting on their interest liabilities, on their EMIs. So NPAs would take a hit. Absolute, Sahilji. I hope everyone is getting it. Then in capital goods, companies like L&T, right? So Pradeep ji, for well-run banks, anything below 2%. If it is zero, that's the ideal case scenario, Shriram ji, right? But always remember, businesses don't operate in a vacuum. They operate in a dynamic environment, right? So we can expect ideal situation, right? So, but if your risk management practices are in place, if you have lent judiciously, then up to certain extent you can control your defaults, right? So people who would be doing business would always know that whenever you are doing business, certain proportion of default is part and parcel of business, right or not? Right? But how much you can minimize, that's the skill of the businessman. I hope everyone is with me. Right? Then capital goods, companies like L&T, Voltam, Siemens, right, which produce heavy engineering equipment, right? They always look for order book, which will give you guidance about future revenues, right? These companies always operate on long-term contracts, right? Then parameters like operating margin, debt to equity ratio. I hope everyone is getting it. Friends, always remember, if a business is debt heavy and asset heavy, the margin ratio which would be prominent would be operating or EBITDA margin. In other scenarios, we would look at net profit margin. Very nice, Shekharji, right? But I want everyone to get along, right? Everyone, and the valuation metric which we would be deploying would be enterprise value to EBITDA. So, who will tell me what is enterprise value? Sahil ji, Pradeep ji, Shekhar ji, what is enterprise value? Come on, friends. Come on, friends. Perfect, perfect. Most of your answers are right, but the best answer I like was of Pradeep ji. He answered, it is cost of owning the company if you are buying in entirety, right? Then only you can understand the concept of enterprise value, right? Market cap plus debt minus cash. I hope everyone recalls it, right? Then friends, there would be certain companies where in the sector only they would be the listed players, right? So companies like Info Edge would be there. So in those companies, it is difficult to compare with peers, right? Then companies like e-commerce. Then if you are looking at companies overseas, vis-a-vis Indian companies, you always have India Mart also. You always have to also look at enterprise value. I hope everyone is getting it. Right? Then cement again, since it's a debt heavy and asset heavy business, EBITDA margin, debt to equity, ROCE as return ratio, then cement prices as per demographics and locality. Always remember, cement business is very location specific, right? So if you are looking at south based companies, you have to look at prices prevalent in South India, right? Then with respect to demand, look at what are the big infrastructure projects in the region which are underway. Then if government is giving extra incentives to promote housing, still also absolutely right. Then friends, please remember, during election time, in P ratio, Shekharji, okay, so once I am done with this, I would elaborate a bit more on P ratio. Okay, yeah. So friends, always remember, during election times or a year entering into the election, normally what happens, country becomes more socialistic in approach, giving more dose to individuals. So during that time, infrastructure spending takes a bit of backseat. So always keep this thing at the back of your mind. Then, with respect to consumer discretionary, right? So, all these Jubilant Foodworks, Avenue Supermarts of the world, the most important metric is triple S, single or same store sales growth. Who will tell me what does it mean? Pradeep ji, Sahil ji, Shekhar ji, Kola ji, what is same store sales growth? What is same store sales growth? Come on, friends. Right? So, friends, what happens, Pradeep ji? You are very close. What happens? All these businesses like Jubilant Foodworks, Avenue Supermarts, every year add new stores. Right or not? Right? So, if you will look at cumulative revenue growth, it will always look higher. Right? But the true metric to look at whether company's growth has picked up is the stores which existed last year. In those stores, whether growing top line has taken place or not. Right? That would be like to like comparison. I hope everyone is following it. That is why same store sales growth is most sort of factor. Shekhar ji, I hope it is published. Absolutely. Shekhar ji, I hope you are with me. Dasai ji, not in outlets. The outlets which existed in the previous time period. Right? In those outlets, what's the growth? If say previous year 100 outlets are there, sorry 100 outlets were there, this year 120 outlets are there, so same store sales growth would be determined on 100 outlets which existed last year, their revenue, and 100 outlets, the same 100 outlets growth this year. Absolutely Shekharji. Right? Again, P as a metric should be deployed. Again, in consumer goods, FMCG, friends, once you will look at all these brokerage house reports, you will find these data. Right? In consumer goods, always remember volume growth and advertisement and promotion expenses have to be monitored. Right? So, yesterday HUL numbers came. Right? So, which was the key monitorable? Volume growth. Right? So, it is very important parameter to track in FMCG businesses. Volume growth along with advertisement and promotion expenses. I hope everyone is following. Shekharji, the numbers of HUL were good, right? In most of the product categories, they had seen a good bumper in volume growth. Numbers were good, absolutely. In IT, again, how many new clients have been added, right? Then how diversified the client base are, how they always monitor at constant currency growth. Can anyone tell me what is constant currency growth? Right. So under constant currency growth, they try to discount the positive or negative impact of exchange rate. Right? At times, this would hurt the company, at times, it would benefit the company. But to track the real performance in growth, they always look at constant currency growth. Why? Because exchange rates can't be controlled by the companies. Up to certain extent, they can only hedge it. I hope everyone is following it. Then in metals, again, the same concept of capital goods, all the metrics remains the same. Right. So, Dasari ji, what are FMCG companies? All the biscuit companies, soaps, shampoo companies, HUL, ITC, Britannia, all these would be fast moving consumer good companies. Right. Then consumer discretionary would be what? Things like all the discretionary product items like jewelry, like air conditioners, like big electronic products which we obtain in our house, which depends upon discretionary income. In addition, hotels, in addition, even tourism up to certain extent would be part of consumer discretionary. Right? Consumer goods and FMCG is more or less the same thing. Dasari ji, I hope it's clear. Sudha ji, I hope it's clear. Right? Again, with respect to metals, oil and gas, things remains the same. In pharma, regulatory environment is very important, right? So what is happening around US FDA? If the company you are tracking primarily depends on US market for their revenues, you need to say how the policy making with respect to US FDA is panning out. Then in power, similar with all the capital goods companies, there you have to look at plant load factor also. In telecom, in addition, ARPU is monitored, average revenue per user. So friends, in the previous few quarters, ARPU has picked up, right? Which is expected to change the fortune of the sector, right or not? Right? Our individual connection costs have gone up or not? Now, friends, always remember one thing. Whenever such changes appear, right, normally they carry on for longer time periods, right? So, since we enjoyed the lower ARPUs as a customer for longer periods, whenever this turnaround would take place, normally it would sustain for much longer, especially once industry consolidation has taken place. Only 2.5 players are there in the market. So it will provide pricing power. Absolutely. Lockdown, work from home. All these are positive demand drivers for telecom sector. Right? So the positive trends in telecom are not short-lived. Normally, they should be sustainable much longer. Right? So whenever fortunes of a sector change, right, don't think that things would be done and dusted in 1 or 2 quarters. It would play out for few more quarters and years. I hope everyone is getting it. Right? So, Shekhar ji, you asked me to discuss more on PE multiples, right? So, Shekhar ji, did you attend yesterday's session, first of all? Shekhar ji, right, you have gone through the recording. Perfect. So, what is PE multiple? In numerator, we are having market price of the stock. In denominator, we are having earnings per share. Now, if a company's profit would go up, will EPS increase? Everyone, Shekhar ji, Pradeep ji, Sahil ji, right? So, a company which is profitably trending higher, right? Future growth in EPS will take care of the P multiple or not? Because denominator is increasing. Everyone, right? So PE multiple numerically is impacted by two things. Firstly, growth or degrowth in earnings per share. Secondly, by the price of the stock. Right? Other things remaining the same. If price has corrected big time, PE multiples will contract or not? Shekhar ji and others. Everyone. Shekhar ji, if price of the stock has corrected, numerator would decrease. Shekhar ji, right? So if numerator will decrease, P multiple would go down or not? Right? So these two variables are in place. Now yesterday we discussed factors which impact P multiple. Right? So there we discuss whole host of qualitative and quantitative factors like ROE, like quality of management, like growth rate, like what are the risks involved. Now, all these factors over longer periods will impact EPS or not? So I hope everyone is getting what are the factors which impact P multiple. Right. Now, Shekharji, what you are saying now, if you recall, yesterday I shared screener dot Shekharji. Now, you can compare P multiple of vis-a-vis peers and versus screener is open, right? So I am looking for say TCS. Right? Just click on the same. Now, in the second column, you can see PE multiples of peer stocks, right? So TCS you can compare vis-a-vis Infosys, HCL, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, the biggies of the sector, and you can get some idea whether the stock on valuation parameter is cheap or dearer as compared to its peers. I hope, Shekharji, you are getting it. Shekharji, if you want to look at sector PE, edit columns, can you see? Just click in. Then can you see industry PE? You need to check it. And then you have to save columns. I hope, Shekharji, you are clear. Now, Shekharji, always remember, TCS is the biggest player in the industry, right? So normally this would never happen, right? The sector leader will normally command the highest PE multiple. Sahil ji, Shekhar ji, right? Because in this sector, the player which is contributing the maximum, generally maximum value would be derived by that company or not, right? Say for example, in Bank Nifty, right? HDFC and Kotak will always play much more bigger role. Why? Because their contribution in the index is highest. Absolutely, Vishal ji. Sahil ji, Ashu ji, Shekhar ji, I hope you are getting it. Ashuji, the correlation lies, say, what happens during certain times. If, say, one of big event has taken place, like in Infosys, some management issues have taken place, because of which a stock has corrected big time, right? So during that time, if you are confident that the management would be able to resolve the issue, then you would be able to buy the company much below its average valuations and at times much below industry PE multiple. Shekhar ji, absolutely you can conclude it, right? But Sahil ji, what happens? Always remember the size of the company also matters, right? So if I have to compare the P multiple of TCS, I have to look at vis-a-vis Infosys, HCL, Wipro, right? Similar sized companies, right? Because smaller companies can grow at much faster pace. Friends, always understand these studies have to be nuanced. In this, you can say HCL Tech is cheaper, Ashuji. I hope, Shekharji, SEBI won't benchmark it. We as investors need to do it. I hope everyone is clear. Sahil ji, yeah, the lesser the PE, better it is. Kananji, why Wipro? You need to study the performance of Wipro. If Wipro is not able to deliver similar revenue growth, similar margins, similar bottom line growth, right? Will it command similar P multiples, Kananji? Absolutely. So we need to analyze, then only we need to conclude. Absolutely. In relation to market size and similar sized companies. Sahili. Similar sized companies. Abhirami ji, absolutely we need to analyze the reasons. I hope everyone has got it. Similar size means that what is the top line, right? If say a company is selling 1,000 crores, right? It can't be compared with other company which is selling 10,000 crores. Ashuti, right? Because at smaller scales, profitability logics would be different. At larger scales, profitability logic would be a bit different. TCS is in its own league because it's a market leader. It's a proven management. I hope everyone is with me. Absolutely not, Pradeep ji. Just look at revenue growth and profitability growth. It's not high. Isuji, industry PE is kind of a weighted average of all the players in the industry. Right? Pledged is if promoters pledge some of their holdings in banks in lieu of money. That is pledging. Absolutely. So you are putting up your holdings as security. It is around 20.39 year industry P. Tata Electra is a company, right? Kananji, you see, these indexes are not prepared by us, right? These indexes are IT indexes which are prepared as per certain logic, right? So every company won't find entry in the index. Kolaji, up to certain extent, you are right. Industry P is divided by the P multiples of the participants. Manishji, just look at my cursor. Industry PE. Again, friends, just don't conclude on one parameter. You have to look at the individual company's metrics, and then in cognizance with these data sets, you need to come to some sort of conclusion. Shekharji, that tells us that it is more of a median range valuation. Right, Ashuji, but just see the amount, it is nominal. I hope everyone has got the clarity. Everyone? Kalanji, I said it upfront, right? It is one of the parameters valuation. But before investing into the company, you need to follow all these steps. In quantitative analysis, whatever we have discussed, you need to go through them. If you are confident on those parameters, then only valuations have to be looked at. Sahili, when I say share price, right? So if I discuss PE multiples, price to book, EV EBITDA, all those are correlated with share price. Absolutely, Dasarji, the percentage is less. Sahilji, what is P multiple? P is the price. So you are looking fundamentally vis-a-vis price. You have to wait for it to become attractive. Again, the broad parameters will remain the same, Ashuji. Right? So, Sahilji, I would be discussing examples going forward so you would get better handle. Right? I would request all of you, friends, in fundamental analysis, a lot of effort is required for from all of you. Right? The more reports you will read, the better clarity. Kolaji, yesterday I discussed for ROEs 15 to 20%, for debt to equity 0.5. Absolutely, Sahilji, right? Effort has to be made, then things will fall in line. Kolaji, I hope you are getting it. With respect to valuations, you have to compare vis-a-vis other peers and industry PE. Right? In companies like Z, Ashji, first of all, you need to have a view on the promoter, right? Whether promoter is taking steps in the interest of the minority shareholders. For all these data sets, you need to refer to all the brokerage house reports and annual reports. I hope everyone is with me. Right? So friends, it is 8-1. We would be taking Dasari, people who can read it well, they find lot of value there. Right? So let's take a 10 minutes break. Ashuji, okay, so tomorrow I would try to cover Z. So I would go through Z and try to cover it tomorrow. Okay? It is 8:02 in my clock. Let's zoom the discussion by 8:12.